Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Renee, and I work for Girl Scouts in Lincoln. And hope you're all doing well, staying healthy, washing your hands, practicing social distancing. And we're glad that you can participate with Girl Scouts today. I have Julie. I'm probably saying it a little bit wrong, but she is a scientist, a food scientist, water scientist at UNL, and I'm excited that we have a real life scientist with us today to talk about what she studies and what it's like being a scientist, and I'm sure she'll have a lot to teach us. Do you want to introduce yourself a minute, and then we're going to show a video and to get us started.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Julie Meneses. I am a research assistant professor at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. It's my great honor to have this opportunity to talk to you and share a little bit of what I do as a scientist. So I am originally from Ecuador, so English is not my first language. I actually speak Spanish, so I hope you don't have so much hard time understanding, but if you need clarification, just let me know. So my country is located in South America. Maybe you haven't heard about Ecuador, but for sure you have heard about Galapagos Islands. That is where the giant turtles live. Like they can live like for 500 years. So maybe you have heard of them. That's where I come from. So now I work at the university. I do a lot of research related to food science. And I will explain later a little bit about what I do as a food scientist and why is it important for all of us.
Okay, ready for the video?
Well, I will say that I would just first explain a little bit about food science, and then we can hop into the video. So I am a food scientist, right? And maybe you haven't heard about it, but food science is a science, of course, that combines many others. So we get to learn about engineering, we need to know about chemistry, we need to know about biology, microbiology. All of those science combined is what help us do our work as a food scientist. So one thing that we are not, it's like we are not culinology, we are not chefs. It's not related to cooking, it's more related to the science behind all of the food that you see when you walk into a grocery store. So when you go shopping with your parents, you see all these shelves full of food. For sure, a food scientist was working at some point to produce those products, to make them safe, to make them convenient, to make them available to you, and so that they are easy to use as well. So it's really fun to be a food scientist and really important because right now you have seen the people that are at the grocery store and the people that are producing food, even in this crisis that we are going through, they haven't stopped working because it's an essential work. So as part of my work, I work with food. Of course, I work in manufacturing plants. So those are the plants where we produce the food. But then specifically, I work with water because to produce all of these products, we need a lot of water. We need energy as an ingredient, and then some water gets released from the facility. So if we don't treat that water properly, we can contaminate our environments and the rivers that are near to us. So someone has to take care of that and come up with solutions and good alternatives and treatments to improve the quality of the water so that it's safe for everyone. So there is the work that I do. That's how I am contributing, being a food scientist, but also working with water. And the video that we will see now is, it's my student. She is from China. She is a student that is almost finishing her PhD, her doctoral degree. And she will talk a little bit more about the processes that we are developing to clean water. So now we can play the video, yes.
Okay. Tell me when you can see it. Can you see it, everybody?
And not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Now we can see it, yes.
Based on our previous research, we found that the microalgae are very efficient in the removal of nutrients from meat processing wastewater. Firstly, we need to mix the concentrated sludge bacteria, which is this one, and the concentrated microalgae culture, which is this one, with this 2.5% sodium alginate solution. So sodium alginate is a natural polysaccharide. It's usually extracted from seaweed. There's still many challenges to put this method into large scale, and one of the most significant one is the complex wastewater environment, which will inhibit the microalgae growth. Mounting these beads in this mesh screen, so it won't flow around, and the light can be better penetrated, as well as the gas exchange and the nutrients diffusion will be much improved. So with this, we almost doubled the microalgae biomass growth. In the next step, we are going to do a fermentation of those obtained algal biomass and fermented them into some kind of products like the biopolymers, which can be further processed into bioplastic. If we have enough material for bioplastic, so that will help a lot for protect the environment.
Yes, so that is what we do pretty much. We have algae, which is an organism that grows in the environment, and they like to eat nitrogen and phosphorus. These are two components that are present in the wastewater. So the wastewater is like what we effluents that are producing in a processing facility, right? It's water that goes down the drain. So instead of sending all those nutrients, we use the algae so that they can eat on those components and then grow. So then we clean the water, and we also obtain the algae, which it's a byproduct or a secondary product that we can use for something else. Sometimes for fertilizers, we can use it to feed animals. In this case, my student is trying to produce plastic out of this component. So that's what we do. I cannot hear you, you're muted.
I just realized that.
Yeah.
So your student is working to make bioplastics, which seems very exciting. What other kinds of research or work have you done that is really exciting for like environmental, like helping the environment?
So before this study, I developed another case study for dairy processing. So you are all familiar with cheese. So when making cheese, only a small portion, like 12% of the entire volume of milk become cheese. The remaining 90% or 88%, it's waste, it's water mixed with some other components. So instead of sending this out to the environment, which can be really polluted for the environment, we use another technology that is called membrane filtration to remove those components, which are protein and lactose. You can think about lactose like a sugar that gives that sweetness to the milk. So we use these two technologies to remove from the water, and we obtain really high quality water, potable water that you can use for cleaning. And in the other side, we have this lactose and protein that then you can dry and you use for beverages. You have heard about whey protein that you use in your smoothies. So we dry that out, and those are also valuable byproducts that you can sell in the market. And then you have the clean water, so no harm to the environment.
Are some of those processes being done in Nebraska? Because we have a lot of dairy here in Nebraska.
Yes, both of them are actually, we are developing these at the lab scale, and then we usually develop publications, which are like scientific documents that we put available to the public so they can learn from what we found. And then some companies that are interested might implement these suggestions that we provide to them. So a lot of dairies, yes, especially dairy processing is what we are talking about, have used this. So every time that you have heard about Nestle, that they are a zero water processing facility, this is kind of the process that they are implementing in there as well.
Interesting. So what made you want to be a scientist?
I always love to be a scientist because I like to look smart. I was really good with numbers and chemistry, and I thought, oh, that is something that I am gonna be. It's just something that I think is dynamic. You are never doing the same thing, not in a single day. You are always changing. You do new things every day. I like to have a lot of ideas, and I like to make them become a reality. So that's what we as a scientist do, because usually we don't know when we start a project, we don't know what's going to happen and how things are going to turn out. But when you start doing your experiments, then you discover things, and then sometimes you learn a lot of other stuff in the process.
Do you remember when you were a kid, was there any specific time where you remembered like, oh, I want to be a scientist, or any person that you met that inspired you to be a scientist?
I was just thinking about it like this morning, I was thinking like, how did it happen? And I remembered that one of my teachers from high school, we were talking about, like, what are you gonna do when you finish high school? And then I didn't know at the time, I knew that I wanted something related to engineering because it always looked attractive to me. But then she was telling me, food is something that we are always gonna need. Like, we can, live without sometimes computer, maybe without phones, but food is something that we need 3 times a day. And then is when I thought, yeah, I have to look for something that has engineering or science as a component, but also it's related to food production. And then I found food science, which is like the perfect match. We have all the science behind, and we work towards food. So I think it's just a really nice career.
Yeah, that's great. So what do you like about being a scientist?
What I like the most actually is that I think anyone can be a scientist. At the beginning, when when I was growing up, people used to say, "Oh, you're good at mathematics and you're good at physics and you like chemistry, then you have to be a scientist." But now that I am like far away from that moment and so far in my career, I realize that science is something that everyone can do. You just need, like, if it is something that you enjoy and you want to do it, you have to pursue it. You just need to find the right tools and find the right instructions and these people that can teach you through science, which you have available at your schools, and you have just to go for it, and you're gonna find that science is fun, interesting, and it's easy to do. You just need to put the effort and work for it.
So for some people who who aren't in the science field, what are some science fields that are really interesting and exciting, that like maybe girls who are in middle and high school now, if after they graduate, get into college and start working on research projects, like what are some of the exciting fields? Obviously food science, but what are some other fields of science that you think are
Oh, well,
interesting?
yeah, well, so now there's like so many different things, right? Like technology, science is everywhere. Like, you cannot say that you haven't been exposed to science because it is part of our life every single day. So I think that in anything that you like, like if you like things related to biology, medicine, if you like things related like to agriculture, is a great field. There is a lot of science in agriculture, from the moment about like how do we preserve soil and water and our resources, and also how do we use, like limited resources to grow food that it's, we have a growing population, we need to produce more food. How do we make it more efficient without being harmful for the environment? Because that's another thing that it's now important for the new generations. We have to be effective, and we have to think about the environment, and we have to be nice with the environment so that it can last for other future generations, right? So there is a lot of work that can be done from different fields. Like today, science is not like one person's work, it's everyone's work. And from different perspectives, you can contribute to make that happen. So yeah, whenever you are interested, science is just so big that I cannot choose like a couple to mention to you, but it's everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what kind of education did you have?
Okay, so when I first started, like I did my bachelor, now there is a career actually that the title says food science and technology. So it's pretty straightforward. But when I first started, I didn't have that. So before, you used to have to study like chemical engineering, and then one group of within that specialization or that major was focused on food, and then it's what it's called the food science group. But right now, there are careers at the university that it's actually focused on food science. So the University of Nebraska has a bachelor's degree in food science and technology. We have a master and a PhD degrees in food science and technology. So it's becoming an actual career. But for the work that I do now, it's actually a little bit different. Like it's part of food science, but since I have the component on water, I needed to learn from other majors and other sciences. So in that case, I am learning about technologies for the treatment of wastewater. I am learning about microbiology and other biologies as well, because right now I'm using algae, right, which I didn't know anything about before. So in general, you have to keep learning. But yes, food science now is a career, and that's how I went through. I went to the university, obtained my bachelor degree in a different country. I had to get out of home, and then I did my master and my PhD at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So that's how
what are your masters and PhDs in? What are those titles?
So they are still food science, like the big major, right? But then you, depending on the project that you work, you have these little kind of specializations, you can call it that way. So for my master, it was food safety. So it was working with microbiology and bacteria in different food products. Actually, it was about how do you make them safe so people don't get sick when they are eating chicken or meat, or, we have heard about that a lot. So that's what food scientists do. We're trying to develop technologies and processes to make food safer for you to eat. So that's what I did for my master. And then my PhD was actually on water. And then from there, I keep working on connecting food processing and water, and making, more optimizing the use of that resource in food production.
Okay, interesting. That's a lot of work. Good job.
Thank you.
So what advice would you give to girls who kind of like science, but they don't, they just take their middle school or high school science classes, and that's all they really have right now? Like, what would you say to them to how can they explore science a little bit more?
So I would say that there are a lot of opportunities, specifically if you have this great opportunity that you are part of the United States, right? There are a lot of programs available because they are making a lot of efforts to bring more women to science, and there are a lot of programs that you can find out there. There is a lot of information available online. And also talk to your teacher, like your science teacher will know better. They have connections with the university, and they can put you in contact with the university. so that we can invite you for a tour, so you can come visit our facilities. You can get to tour around the labs and see what other people are doing. You can talk with the professors. You just need to set up an appointment, and they will be happy to talk to you and explain to you what they are doing, and like the different pathways that they follow to be in the place that they are right now. So there are always, there is a person in the university that will help you find that connection that they're looking for. I think that the advice would be just ask and look for it. I'm sure you're gonna find the right person to talk to who can provide you with a lot of other connections and resources.
Yeah, that's great advice, and we talk about that a lot in Girl Scouts. So just ask people if there's something you are interested in or something you like. Just ask. They will be happy to help you and find some resources or some camps or some classes to help you explore your interests. So, if you have a lesson that you really liked in your science class and you're like, oh, I wish I could do more of this, ask your teacher. They're there to help you. So that's a really good advice, I think.
Sure.
We don't have a lot of people on the call, but if anyone has any questions, you guys can type it into the chat box, and we can she can answer those questions. Otherwise, this is recorded, so we're gonna put it up online for other people to watch later. And we have programs going twice a day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day. We have Girl Scout programs online for you to watch, to get involved in. So tune into those, and you can find all the schedule on our website, girlscoutsnebraska.org. So that's where you can find it under the programs tab. So I just wanted to say thank you for being on the call today. It was great to interview a scientist and hear about your work, and it's important stuff. And we all benefit from science and the work of scientists. So it was great to have you.
Yeah, thank you all for joining, and I am here to help anytime. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. So have a really good afternoon and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.